All right, good morning, Indiana. There we go. Now we're live, looks like. Good morning, Indiana. Gonna wait just a few minutes to get some people filing in here. And once we are good to go, we will do an updated briefing here based on latest data. Let me know where you're watching from, as well as be sure to hit a like on the stream. Would appreciate that. Current time's 11:01. Got Hope, Blitz, Guinea Pig in chat here. Shannon, Stormlord. There we go. Stream is all set up. Good to go. Perfect. Alrighty. Wait just a few seconds here for those of you who want to file in to get situated. It's going to be our last live update before the system arrives here. In fact, we're seeing our snow sitting just off to the south of us right now, so it's going to start snowing in southern Indiana here pretty soon. Got Linda watching from Kokomo, Nikki. All right, let's go ahead and get started here, guys. So last update from us here at IWN for the system. We have new model data to go over, some different variations and such. We have some new data that came in as well that kind of suggests a few changes to the forecast, but nothing major is going to shape or really change anything, much of anything at least. So let's go ahead and get started here. Current time is 11:02 a.m. I am Ryan, and this is Indiana Weather Network. We're live Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can watch on your platform of choice. Let's go ahead and start with the radar here. The high-res short-term model data came in overnight last night, and this morning I personally think that this is spot on. We use the European for mid to long range, like 3 to 7 days out or so. We get to the day of the event, we like to turn over to short-term model because typically it's more accurate. And in this case, I feel like it is accurate. So current time is 11 a.m. According to the model here, we should see snow sitting just off to the south of us. I'll go ahead and move this down for you guys. There you go. And that is true. We see precipitation off to our south here. The model has a great handle on how things are shaping up. As I move this into the day-to-day, 2 p.m. or so, our first snowflake should be flying around Evansville, Vincennes, down by New Albany as well. But do take note, if you live up in central and northern Indiana, you guys are going to stay dry for a majority of today. So if you have plans or you need to go to the store to grab some bread and milk or whatever essentials you need to grab, go do it. You have time to do that. Just bundle up. It's cold out there. But snow is going to begin first for South Indiana. This will slowly work its way east and northward here. Here's 4 p.m. There's 5 p.m. Snow begins, light snow, by the I-70 corridor. Moving us into the evening, dinner time frame, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. It begins to advance northward there. And by about that 10 to 11 p.m. time frame, that is when the entire state really is engulfed in snow. Now, the timing of this has moved back ever so slightly. The heaviest is now supposed to arrive a little bit later on. So the darker blues do indicate a little bit more moderate snow down there at 11 p.m. tonight by Bloomington, Evansville, New Albany areas. But the real heavy stuff comes in a little bit later on. Here is 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then 5 a.m. The darker blues there are really heavy snow kicking up there. But also, moving this down, you guys are going to see the rains, not the rain, but the snow to sleet line does brush up into certain counties of South Indiana. We are still concerned there for some slight mixing of sleet there. Overall, freeze and rain is not really expected, but could have some snow and sleet there mixing overnight tonight. But the darker blues do indicate heavier snow, and by the time we get to sunrise tomorrow into the mid-morning hours, 9 to 11 a.m. there, that's when the real heavy stuff starts to work in. And by around the noon time frame, we begin to let up ever so slightly into a more lighter snow. As system moves out, it'll continue to snow throughout the afternoon off and on, but lighter snow after the noon time frame on Sunday. More so heavier expected from about 2 a.m. tonight through about that 10 a.m., 11 a.m. tomorrow morning period. So around an 8 to 10 hour period of really heavy snow there for a lot of us here in the state. It should clear us a little bit earlier than expected. We're at 7 p.m. tomorrow, or sorry, 7 p.m. Yeah, tomorrow evening, Sunday evening. We're left with lingering light snow showers on the east half of the state, as well as lake effect snow up by Gary, South Bend, Michigan City areas that could accumulate a little bit more in terms of some snow up there. So putting it all together here, the snow accumulation, European, we have agreed with ever since the beginning of the system. Now we're shifted to a short-term model, the HRRR model. This is a 48-hour model, so it's not a very long-range solution. But snow accumulates here as far as Evansville right around 3 to 4 p.m. today. This is why I'm telling you guys, if you have plans to get out there and get your essentials, you have time to do it, as snow is going to start a bit later on than expected. So here's 4, here's 5 p.m. tonight, 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m., then 10 p.m. Accumulation about an inch or so up by the 70 corridor. Evansville about 1 to 3. Heavier stuff moves in after midnight. Here is midnight. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 a.m. A nice heavy band of snow sets up there from Evansville over toward about the, we're going to say Seymour area. We're going to move this up into 8 a.m., 9, 10, 11 a.m., and then noon on Sunday. We have a nice big bright band of about a foot of snow south of I-70. North I-70, we're getting about 4 to as much as 10 inches. Then further north, we're getting about 1 to 3 up there by the Angola area. It continues, though, end of the day on Sunday, wrapping up by Sunday night. When all is said and done, this is what we're kind of expecting to happen. So up by Gary, South Bend area, Rensselaer, 3 to 6 inches is our forecast. Excuse me. As I move south there from Angola to about Fort Wayne, over toward about the Lafayette area, about 5 to 9, perhaps 10 inches of snow there, if you're lucky. And then going down further from Fort Wayne down to about Richmond, southwest to about Terre Haute, that's going to be our zone of right around 7 to 11, perhaps 12 inches in localized areas of snow. The big story and one of the big changes with the short-term models is they can pick up on something called a deformation zone. That's a fancy term basically for a lot of ingredients coming together with these systems that we could get a little bit heavier swath. Now, if you notice down by Evansville, New Albany, Cordon areas, we have a very thin strip there of white. That is the deformation zone. That area down there could see as much as 18 inches of snow in very localized swaths. Otherwise, if you live south of I-70, 9 to 15 inches is our forecast there. In fact, I'll throw the forecast on the screen for you guys. This was released a little bit earlier this morning. This is what we're expecting to happen. 3 to 6, Gary, South Bend, Rensselaer. Fort Wayne to Lafayette, 5 to 9 there. Muncie, Indianapolis, Terre Haute, 7 to 11. Any point south of there, 9 to 15. With that very thin strip down the yellow zone, getting a foot or more of snow. Could see as much as 18 inches. Would not be shocked at all in that small localized area. So this is a lot of snow coming for you guys in this system. Now, also take note, the Gary to South Bend region up there, if I take this off the screen and zoom in up here, throughout late Sunday into the morning on Monday, lake effect snow may ramp up there. We're seeing very localized areas of 8 to 10 inches in parts of those regions, but otherwise it's hard to pinpoint exactly where it's going to happen. So we have to just go to 3 to 6 there and mention isolate higher amounts possible in those zones. One more thing to talk about is the wind. So we've been talking about the wind, about 15 to 20, maybe 25 mile per hour gusts out of the north, blowing to the south. Now, latest model guidance came in this morning, and it didn't really ramp up much of anything, but it is suggested we could reach 30 mile per hour gusts in some spots around Sunday, around dinner time frame. So with those winds out of the north to the south, east to west oriented roads, if any roads travel east-west, they will be first to drift over, and they could be drifted shut in country or rural areas with winds right around 25, perhaps 30 mile per hour gusts in some spots there. So the snow is light, it's fluffy, it's going to be prone to blowing. Plan on drifting and blowing snow Sunday, even into Monday as well. These temperatures are not going to rise, so we're going to have a lot of blowing snow even into Monday as these winds will continue right around 20 to 25 miles per hour throughout the next 48 hours. Now, last thing I'll touch on, I touched on it last night with the NWS forecast. I know a lot of you guys are seeing several maps of, news stations, weather pages like ours, any meteorologists in the state. We all interpret data differently. It's going to should vary slightly. But I always say, and I've always thought that any forecast should be compared to the gold standard, and that is from the Weather Service. We have several offices here in the state of Indiana that all combine to make one centralized forecast, and that's on your screen currently. You can find these forecasts by typing in NWS and then your local office name. So if you're in Northern Indiana, it'd be North Webster. Central Indiana is Indianapolis. And then we have Evansville offices as well as Louisville offices. You can search those as well. But you can go to their websites. You'll see a forecast tab. You hover over that and you click on winter forecast or winter weather. It'll pop you into this map here. So if you're seeing several forecasts here that vary, that's okay. Compare it to this map here. We'll go over the NWS forecast. South Bend, they have 4 or so inches. Lake Effect for Gary has 6 inches up there. Rensselaer area, 4 inches for you guys. Goshen, about 3 inches, about 4 inches actually, 3.8 really. Looking at the Rochester area, about 3 or 4 inches. Fort Wayne, they have 6.6 inches for you guys. Down here by Huntington, about 7 inches. Kokomo, 7 or so. Lafayette's on the line, about 5 to about 7, depends on where you're at. Further south here for Indianapolis, though, we have about 9 inches there. Muncie being shown at 8.4. Richmond, 9.8. We have areas further south here, about a foot of snow, 11 inches or so, 10 to 12 or so across this wide area. Bloomington, 10.8. Terre Haute, 8.5 for you guys. All the way down here to the Louisville area, 13 inches down here. Evansville, about 12 to 13 down there. Vincennes at 10.3. You get the picture. The NWS forecast here is the gold standard. We use it ourselves to compare our forecast to. We don't base it off it, but we always compare, make sure we're somewhat close or at least in line with the official sources here. So with that being said, that is all I have to share with you guys. Again, start time this afternoon, about 3 or 4 hours. Should see snowflakes fly across southern Indiana. Should overspread the entire state by dinner time, or by about 10 to 11 p.m. tonight, and then really ramps up overnight into Sunday morning for the entire state. Questions, guys, here in the comments, feel free to chime in chat. Noblesville, I'll have you in a 7 to 11 zone there, Stormlord. Any questions? There are plenty of winter storm warnings out there. I don't know if I have a map or not. Yeah, I don't have a map pulled up, unfortunately. I can get a map posted on the page after I'm done here, but several, I think the entire state of Indiana is under some type of winter alert, whether it's an advisory or a storm warning. I'll get a map up there on the page after I'm done with this live. No ice predicted. We could have some sleet mixing in down by the Kentucky border, but no ice. Freezing rain should stay well south of the state. Where's my map? There it is. Zooming this down here. There's your rain. I keep saying rain. There's your snow to sleet line. The blue is obviously snow. The orange strip is your sleet. The pink purple is your freezing rain. That's staying about a county or two south of us. So not really concerned for that here in Indiana. Brenda has a good question here with the forecast. So if you happen to find yourself living close to a cutoff line where it's like, I live in Lafayette, so it's going to be close to a 5 to 9 or 7 to 11. What do I trust? Those are the hard zones to forecast because it could go either way. You could end up with 5 inches in Lafayette, but if the higher totals or a slight shift or wobble at the system occurs, you could end up with close to a foot. That is how snow systems work. It's very hard to pinpoint exactly where it is. So when you're close to that line, it's always important to take note that you could be on the lower end or the higher end of that total. It's how winter goes. But what I would say is basically take a middle point. What's the middle point between 5 and 11 inches? I'd say 8 or 9 or so. 7, 8, or 9. So take that as your median. That's what I would expect. Hopefully road crews will keep up with it. NDOT is fully staffed this weekend, so state roads should be the best travelable conditions, but I would say definitely stay off the road Sunday into Monday if possible. Not going to be a good situation out there, especially across central and southern Indiana. David says, everyone's talking about the next storm. Any idea what's next? David, I have no idea what people are talking about. let's get through this first system first. Let's get through our foot of snow here for Indiana before we start talking about something else. I personally have not seen anything in the long-term pipeline. I have taken note that we see a pattern shift in the first week of February. That could lead to a system. Otherwise, I have not seen anything major incoming past the system. Models can sometimes get clogged up, so to speak, with data. So let's get through this, clear the models out, and have a clean slate for the next system if and when it comes. This map on my screen currently is a paid weather model site. So it's not publicly accessible unless you pay for it. You can, however, find this website, the NWS forecast here. If you go to Google or your browser and you type in NWS and then your local office, so it's important to know where you live. So if you're in Northern Indiana, it'd be North Webster, so NWS North Webster. Indianapolis area for Central Indiana, you type in NWS Indianapolis. If you go to the website, I can show you guys actually. Might as well do this. 1 second. I'll go to Indianapolis and show you guys how to do this. There we go. So this is what the website should look like. I typed in Indianapolis. There's a tab here called Forecasts. If you hover over that, there's going to be a tab here called Winter Weather. That will take you to your snowfall accumulation map. And so it'll tell you exactly what their official forecast is for certain areas. So every website will have this. It also has snow, ice forecast. Anything you need to know about these forecasts is going to be here on this tab. So I highly recommend checking it out because that's the official source of these forecasts. And also, they're just great overall. So I would highly recommend heading over to your local website and checking it out for yourself. Deanna asks, how long will these temps linger? The temperatures are going to be cold all throughout next week as well. Let's go and look at the temperatures real quick. I know it's boring for a lot of you guys, but it's also important because cold can kill people. In fact, up here where I'm from, just across the border in Michigan, we already had a couple people unfortunately die with the cold air, with the wind chills being so cold. So let's move this into wind chills for the next couple of days. Here's Sunday morning. The gray is below 0. That purple color is single digits or so. Monday morning, gonna be really cold up there. Into Tuesday as well, cold there. Really cold air Tuesday morning. We let up here a little bit on Tuesday, looks like, but then we're right back into cold. Here's Wednesday. There's Thursday of next week. Here's Friday. It doesn't stop. There's Saturday of next week. This is a week out. These wind chills are going to be brutal throughout the entire time frame. So let's go ahead and plan for that next week or so of these wind chills, just absolutely brutal. We don't really see a pattern flip. So let's flip it over here. Give me a second. There's your next 15 days here of temperatures. We don't really see, this is not Indiana. Hold on. This is New York. There we go. We're not seeing that overall pattern trend until we get to the first week of February. So these dates up here where we start climbing back into the 30s, it's February 3rd is the first day in 30s. Otherwise, take note here behind my face, next 5 to 10 days is quite brutal in terms of cold. For overnight healthcare workers, especially near Muncie, will it be safe to go home around 7 to 8 a.m. or should we book hotels? So let's go ahead and back this up here. By 7 to 8 a.m., Muncie is shown to have about 3 or 4 inches of snow on the ground. As long as you are confident in your ability to drive on that snow, you are good to go. I would highly suggest staying off the roads for South Indiana more so than I would the Muncie area. It should be manageable. What do you think is a realistic amount for Plymouth? Difficult travel? Tom, any travel in snow is technically difficult. Plymouth being that far north, we're kind of leaning more so toward a little bit lower solution up there. We're talking perhaps 5 to 9 to 3 to 6 range for you guys. I'm thinking more so. Make sure I'm getting Plymouth right here. I feel like I know where it's at, but I want to make sure I absolutely know where it's at because I feel like it's close to that line. Yeah, you're in the solid zone there of 3 to 6, very close to 5 to 9 there. I would expect it to be right around that 4-inch mark for you. Be a good middle point, 4 to 5 or so. Lisa asking if there's going to be power outages. The answer is going to be isolated, possible, but nothing widespread. We're not talking major outages that are going to be multi-day, nothing like that. We're talking power goes out because somebody hits a pole or perhaps a tree branch falls. Overall, not a huge deal. It should be pretty isolated and localized in nature. Time-lapse totals again, I can certainly do that. Go ahead and back this up. So this afternoon, snow accumulates in South Indiana first. Moving us up here toward the dinner time frame, inch or so on the ground by 8 p.m. tonight. 11 p.m. starts to ramp up there just ever so slightly. Midnight and afterwards really ramps up there, especially towards Sunday morning. We start seeing those heavier bands of snow begin to work in. And by around noon time frame, it explodes into a widespread area of 7 to as much as 15 inches of snow for central and south Indiana. And north Indiana squeaks into a 3 to 6 zone up by the Elkhart, South Bend, Gary region. English, goodness. Will there be heavy winds causing blizzard-like conditions? Linda asks. The answer is not blizzard-like conditions. However, we could see blowing and drifting of snow. It's going to be a light and fluffy snow. Winds are going to gust right around 25 miles per hour or so, maybe a little bit higher, especially Sunday evening. So that will be the time to watch for any east-west roads, especially to drift over. For blizzard conditions, we need to have 35 mile per hour winds sustained for over 3 hours, I believe it is, and visibility less than a quarter mile. We're not going to have that. Nowhere close to that, actually. No problem, Deanna. Emily, what site? Are we talking NWS site or are we talking the model site? On my screen here currently is the model, and this is the NWS site here. Do you think Plainfield will see closer to 7 to 11? I mean, it's a range. So 4 inches of snow is 4 inches of snow between, that's not a huge, big amount of precipitation with the system. I think overall with that general Indianapolis region, you're going to be close to about 10 inches or so, give or take an inch or two. Just got alerts sent out again to me. I was looking at my phone to see if there was any changes with those alerts. Doesn't appear to be, though. Any other questions before I hop out of here? Amber, I think it will be in that range for you guys over there. Last call for any questions. We'll hop out of here. I'll get an alert map posted for you guys. Excuse me. As well as the latest travel map this afternoon as well. Not a bad idea, Eric. Not a bad idea. If you have evening services, definitely evening services for sure. Morning, it may be like discretion, really. It shouldn't be. I don't want to say too bad by 9 or 10 a.m., but that's when it really starts to ramp up. So by the time you're out of church, you're going to be dealing with a lot worse conditions. So I'd probably lean toward on both of those services, if I was making decisions at least. Martinsville we have in our 9 to 15 zone. Although you are close to that 7 to 11 zone as well. So don't be shocked if you're on the lower end of that total. No problem, Jay. Alrighty, I don't see any other questions here that are pressing, so I am going to hop out of here. I'm going to work on a alert map for you guys, as well as a travel forecast. Is there any other things you want to see forecast-wise on our pages? Let me know really quick. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap the stream up here and get working. We will go over timing one more time. I see a couple questions popping in for timing and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and back this up here. So it's going to start roughly in about an hour or two for the very far southern counties of Indiana, Evansville area especially. It won't start for you guys north of I-70 until later tonight. So you have time, you have time to get on the roads and get your essentials bought if you happen to need stuff still. Otherwise, this is 3 p.m. Time up there in the top right corners in Eastern. Here's 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. It starts to reach the 70 corridor. Light snow, by the way. It's not going to be heavy snow today. Here's 7 p.m. tonight, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. This is when it starts to ramp up just a bit. A little bit darker blues move in. That's heavier snow. 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight tonight. And then this is when the heavier stuff moves in. Here's 1, 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 a.m., 10, 11, and noon. Moving out after that, becoming lighter in nature. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m., 5, 6, 7 p.m., and by about 8 p.m. or so, is cleared to state with just lake effect up by the Lake Michigan area, still ongoing. You can find travel advisory information at the DHS website, Department of Homeland Security. Air travel delays. Yes, Shannon, I would definitely expect there to be travel delays on Monday. We post all of our forecasts to Facebook because there's no way for us to do that to YouTube. We do YouTube videos, though, in update form that are exclusive to YouTube. So if you follow us on Facebook and you want video updates, kind of like this one, not live, but if you want video updates or I kind of break down, walk through the radar and stuff like that, those are posted only on YouTube. So yes, we do kind of try to hit both as best as we possibly can. And sometimes we do share our forecast over on YouTube videos as well, but mainly we walk through models together on YouTube. All right, with that being said, we're going to pop out of here. I don't see any other requests for forecasts either. So overall, be safe, be warm. We will have updates on our page throughout this event, starting this afternoon for South Indiana, and especially tonight for the rest of the state. Tomorrow will be the worst of it for all of us. Let's get through it together. Stay safe out there, guys. I'll catch you a little bit later on today. We'll do a live update probably later on tonight or tomorrow morning as well with radar and stuff like that. So stay tuned. We'll have updates.